Hi, everyone. We are live. This is your Monday morning Empire Building Hangout, where we are getting together to talk about building your business and activating ease, effortlessness, growing and moving into the business of your dreams, where it doesn't have to be such hard work, but it's predictable and you can have the opportunity to kind of explore and expand yourself while you're growing your business. So that's what we're doing. And this week, we're talking about, what are we talking about? I think we're talking about, I can't remember. I know we're talking about rules, breaking the rules, right? That's what we're talking about. We're talking about breaking the rules this week. And what I mean by that is breaking the rules that you have set for yourself that you said, I will never, and we're going to ask everybody that's on here if you have any rules that say, I will never do that in your business, because I broke one of my rules this week and it just felt so good. And well, not this week, but this month, and just really want to know what you're thinking about that. And if are you aware of the rules that you have set for yourself that may be stopping you from building that business that you want? That's the topic for the week. And if you're watching from the outside, you can post on the event page. Just let us know where you're hanging out from or what you're drinking. I'm drinking my morning cup of coffee, and it's Dunkin' Donuts coffee if anybody cares to know what type of coffee I like to drink. And yeah, so I'm going to quickly refresh. I do this every week because I want you to get it in your brain. This is subconscious programming of empire building. So you know what you need to build your business, and you're very clear on what it is that you don't have in the empire building process. So that first E in empire building is all about creating ease. It's about activating the easy and effortless expansion and expression of yourself through your business, using your superpowers to create a business that is very unique to you and very very expressive. The perfect. Hey, hold on a minute. I'm going to, whoever keeps unmuting Mark, would you let me mute him, please? I'm muting him. I got it. Maybe. You're doing it? Don't unmute yourself yet. Not yet. I can hear you typing. All right. So, anyways, back to the empire building process. So that E was about ease of mind, and this is where most people struggle right from the very beginning. They want to think that building a business is hard. It's hard work. It's actually not as hard as you think it is, but it does require consistent action over time, and that for some people is really difficult to do. However, what you will actually do is not difficult at all, and it's much easier than what you would think to build a business or just to express yourself through a business than what you think. The M is for making a meaningful offer. It's meaningful for you, and it's meaningful for the people that you serve. And it fulfills a part of your life purpose. I mean, this is really important about making a meaningful offer. And depending upon, and I talk a lot about making a meaningful offer and making your, creating your high value offer. It's the highest value offer that you have. When you know what your highest value offer is, then you can come to your business understanding the value you bring to the world in a much more congruent way than if you're focusing on those bottom, the smallest value offer that you have constantly. So you're actually lowering your vibe when you're focusing on like the ebook or that place. You're focusing on lowering your vibration to the whatever that amount is. So you want to focus on that highest value offer you have, so you can bring your value to your work every day, even when you're selling the ebooks. Hope you understand that. So then the P in empire building is about preparing to profit. That is about marketing. That's about marketing your offer. It's about communicating with the audience of your choice about how your product can solve their problems. Very simple, very easy, but you want to do that with heart. You want to do that with your, full depth of understanding of who your clients are. The I in Empire Building is about taking inspired action and inspiring action in others, and that's really all about sales, right? When you're inspired to call somebody, or you are inspiring action in the person that you're talking to, so they can see that value, and it's an instantaneous spark, and you do that by holding your value. It's really amazing. The R is about creating a great relationship with your results. And this is about creating a relationship with anything that has a number in it. So for the people that are afraid of numbers, honor your numbers. This is where you create a really fabulous business, when you are honoring your clients by putting them in your contact list and by sending them an email every once in a while, but you honor them, you honor your time, and you honor your energy, and you honor your clients' energy as well, and their time and their calendar. You let them know in advance what's going on. It's really pretty easy. And you track everything. So anything has a number, and you're going to track it. So all those results that you like how many people signed up for something from the webinar, or how many people signed up for, how many people bought something once they were on the webinar. Those are numbers that you want to keep track of, because they are so telling. And they're not necessarily telling of what you're doing, they're telling of what's going on inside of your subconscious. So the outer world does match the inner world all the time, and if you want to know what's going on in your subconscious, just look at your numbers and look at your results. The E in Empire Building, that final E, is about expansion. So once you've gone through those steps, you've practiced honoring your results, you've gotten, the R is really about those habits that you create in business. You get to that expansion point, and sometimes it's just expanding to one more client. Sometimes it's expanding to a whole nother level in business, but you do it the same way. And that is, and in the same sequence. And so that's about expansion. You can do that through an entertaining email. You can do that through expanding your realm of influence. It's really about expansion of what you've already created. Sometimes people create something new before they have tracked the results of what they've already done. And I've done that before, so I can raise my hand and say, oh, guilty of that one. And then if you're an excellent empire builder, you become an empirer. It kind of sounds like a pirate, but not necessarily a pirate. It's kind of like a combination of empire builder, an emperor, and a pirate maybe, but not necessarily a bad one, a good one. You get to rest and receive all of the results of your consistent efforts. And it's not hard effort, it is consistent effort. So resting and receiving your results is my favorite part, because you have to really understand that there is a receiving in the whole process, and to ground yourself in that receiving in your business is something that most people miss. They want to stay on a hamster wheel of maybe marketing, or stay on a hamster wheel of trying to, just, knock out the sales conversations over and over and over again, but they don't stop to give themselves permission to rest and receive those things that they have and honor those results that they have. And that causes burnout sometimes. So anyways, here we are, Empire Building, and that's what it's all about. And welcome, everyone. And I'm going to unmute you, because this week we are talking about, like I said, breaking the rules. How was that for an intro?
Liberating. Oh, the
Awesome.
unmuting or the intro?
Or any of it.
Okay, great.
What are your thoughts?
Dawn, I really, really like it. I've been carefully listening to how you produce that as a system. And one question I have is, do you have your clients identify a stage that they're in, or are you talking about that these are all parts of running a good business? Is this something that you see as linear or consequential, or one thing leads to another, leads to another, leads to another, or are a lot of times these things going on simultaneously?
Yeah, you know what? When you're starting out, I mean, when I created the Empire Building System, it was for people who are just starting out. Like maybe you're working in a corporate job and you had no idea of what it was that you were going to do. This was pretty much the blueprint of business and how to really start with a solid foundation. And if you start from a solid foundation, it is effortless. But when you get into it, it's so funny that depending on, I think I've got you, the blue box here, depending on where you are in business or where you started out. I mean, for most people, we don't start out with hand holding. We start out with somebody telling us, oh, you have to have a marketing plan, a business plan.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily, like, it doesn't honor the spiritual aspect of who you are, the emotional aspect, because every step of the system, there's different emotions that you go through, and that you actually have to. You don't have to. You either do it consciously or unconsciously. You process different things at different steps. So expansion for somebody may just be, expanding to one more, to be able to add one more client to their business, and for somebody else it may be expanding to a whole nother level, like a whole nother market. And so it actually works across the board. My husband, funny enough, he has an MBA from Notre Dame, very good school to have an MBA in. And I asked him, like, how does this fit in with with what you learned and what you're doing in business and corporate business stuff? And he was like, this is perfect and liberating, because when you start out with ease of mind, you're not boxing yourself into somebody else's system. That's really important. And when you go through the whole thing, you realize that there's a true freedom for every person to be more themselves in their business, and it is it has good solid business principles too, right? So like there's got to be sales. People do have to find out about you. You have to communicate with your people wherever they are. So those are there. But to ask your question, when I get somebody who has a business already and who's struggling, I normally will go into helping them create their offer, because that's really, if you're struggling, you're not necessarily clear on what it is that you're offering, and it may not be that you're clear on what you're offering. You're either not clear on it, take a deep breath, or you're not confident that your highest value offer, that you're ready, or that there's some mind messing, some messiness, let's call it, mind messiness that gets involved that prevents people from actually having communication, having those sales conversations, marketing their awesome services, right? So something's going on. So I do the coaching behind it, and helping people really see emotionally what's going on.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's true for everybody. So yes, I'll find out where they are, but for the people that I have known that come to me, it's around their offer. And if it's for somebody who is really struggling with that sales aspect, like they're so confident, they've gotten a couple of people to work with them with their highest value offer, they're so confident that they can deliver that, because that's part of that, being confident to offer, is that you can deliver it. You won't know that you can deliver it until you do, so you've got to keep that in mind. You have to go out there and do it. But if you're struggling with sales, there's so many other great coaches out there and mentors that can help you with that sales aspect. So there's people out there who specialize in each one of these. And in business, you'll find out that most people have a specialty that kind of fits in, if they're doing business coaching, that fits into one of these areas. mindset is about the first, that first E. And yeah, and then, so I hope that answered your question. It feels like it was kind of a long, drawn-out answer, but.
No, it was very good. I really do love this system and this way that, talking about breaking the rules, there's definitely, yes, you have to have a business plan, you have to follow this kind of a sequence, and it feels sort of dry and lifeless. And what you've done is put it in like real life terms that honor, the emotional state that may be present or needs to be, or what actually comes up in the moment, and that it's an opportunity. So I really like this.
Thank you. It comes from long hours in my own body and in my own head, and paying attention to what's going on as I'm going through all of these things. And when I first started, trying to figure out a system for myself, I think I told you this before, but I'll repeat it again. Is I had the offer, but kind of behind the marketing. Figure out how you're going to market yourself before you figured out what your offer was, and that was. It kept me at a very, very low vibration. I'll just say that, because you can end up being somebody who, and I love to create things. I love to create offers, but I wasn't touching on or even considering what my highest value offer is. And since then, I've been able to help. I've been able to be a resource and somebody who I can confidently say that I can help anybody with their mastermind groups. Like if there's somebody who's struggling with some aspect of their mastermind groups, they could call me and I will put get them on my calendar and we'll talk about that, and that's a solution that I absolutely know that I could do, which is a very high value offer for people who already have those groups growing. And that's really something I don't talk about normally, but I could do that, and I've since done that for a lot of people, so that you wouldn't necessarily know. But you wouldn't know that they are needing help. I didn't say that, but there's always going to be those emotional things going on. Yeah. So, what else? And my guess is that as we go through and we find, as we grow, there's always going to be a new opportunity to grow into another offering. What was your highest value offer 2 years ago is not going to be the same as it is today. And knowing that you're actually constantly growing into a new offer is really, I think, very creative. It gives you a lot of room to play and a lot of room to express yourself in your business. And at the same time, it gives you an understanding that there's still going to be people that want what you used to offer. And they get to be up-leveled with you. So it's kind of fun. All right, so the rules. So I will share my rule, my number one business rule that I had for the longest time, which really stopped me. And the rule was that I had to have a business degree before I could even remotely, talk to anybody about business. And I don't. So I had to break that rule. I mean, it really had to be a rule that I had to break. But that's not the one that I recently broke, but that was one that was a rule that I had that was holding me back. And I wasn't even aware of that rule. We'll just say that I wasn't quite aware of that rule. So there's rules that we're really aware of that we say, oh, we'll say it out loud. I will never. That's what I want to talk about today. And then there's those unconscious rules that we have that we just, may need a little coaching to get them out of you. Maybe we have some time at the end to do some hot seats about, what is that what's that unspoken, unwritten rule that you have that's really keeping you the same, because that's the whole purpose of those rules is to keep you safe and the same. All right. So, any other thoughts about it? Do you have any
Yes.
rules, Mark?
Yes, a couple of things. I can't think of anything right now that I have as a never will do. I have a bunch of stuff I rarely will do, but I'm pretty clear on never saying never. Um, I'm kind of editing my thoughts because this is going out publicly.
Right.
But I do remember a specific never or boundary that I had set up artificially out of an assumption that I finally let go of, and it made huge changes in my business. So I will share that one. I will never mix hypnotherapy with stage hypnotism, particularly on my radio show. And this is going back to the 80s and very early 90s.
Wow.
And so it was all about hypnotherapy, and I will never, talk about a client or have a client appear on the show. That was another never. So I rode along for about 6 years following those things. The 7th year, I was so taken by somebody's exclamation inside the after the session that he had gotten so much results and he was so happy and he was just completely exuberant. I said, would you mind if I recorded what you're saying now, if we could talk about it again? I'd love to be able to play it on my radio show and share it with people. And instead of, I guess what I expected was, are you serious? I would never share that. How? I'm never coming back here again. You can't possibly. What a violation of. The guy just about came out of his skin and said, what time? What time? I got to call my mother. I got to tell everybody I'm going to be on the radio. What? Oh,
nice.
Maybe I had that sort of backwards. And then it just, the 7th year, the floodgates opened on the dam because I did start to broadcast people's results. And all sorts of people started calling because of the people's results.
Right.
Also, I started mentioning the stage hypnotism, and that opened up a lot of things. So my assumption was based on people want to be completely private about this. Mm-hmm. There is no option for them to opt into sharing it publicly, and hypnotherapy and stage hypnotism are so different, and the markets are so different, and the needs of the clients are so different, you don't want to suggest to one that you do the other, because that raises doubts in especially the clinical patient. Right. The opening salvo is going to be, oh, no, I don't want to be turned into a chicken, all of that stuff.
Right.
And with the stage hypnosis client, it's, oh, great. I'm going to get a really exciting, boring therapist to show up and entertain my people and ask questions like, how does it feel? That's kind of the kiss of death when you're ordering comedy entertainment, is to think you're getting somebody really serious with a pole up their keister. So that was a huge breakthrough, and I can only relate to it again at the past tense. Having never rules. Otherwise, I have a bunch of things that I will make exceptions to, like what kind of client to deal with, etc. But I would love to share a quick breakthrough and praise Robin and you, but particularly Robin, and being on the hot seat. And you were just talking about raising your vibrations from focusing on a little teeny tiny project to much larger offerings and value, and somebody's calling me and they just went away. I believe metaphysically, organically, emotionally, and spiritually as a result of that conversation. Friday, I fielded a call. I'm trying to be very thoughtful about not revealing who this is. Somebody in the public eye who was a friend of mine, and said, you know what, I really want to learn both hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis because I want to incorporate it into the new production I'm creating, a new vehicle. And we talked about it for half an hour, and I went, yeah, I'm the guy. And it's a huge project. And it's a very big influence on a wide population and a tremendous human being to be able to teach this to. So was a friend of mine, an acquaintance for many years, and we hadn't spoken in quite a while. I think we see each other on Facebook, and there it was. I absolutely credit being involved in this group to that happening. Big break. Thank you, Robin.
I'm so happy.
Yeah. Because you were so sad that I was in that other place, so I wanted to
Yeah.
share that big happy. Thank you very much.
That's great.
That is a nice one. You got to go back and record that, Robin, because that's exactly that was so. I mean, this is something else that's going on behind the background of all of us here. Is the mastermind comes in and gives us what we need to support everybody. And Robin's got this huge, huge desire to serve people just like she did you, and that was. So profound because she showed up in all of her magnificent glory to serve you in just the perfect time, and that was a risk because she's doing it live. It was a big risk for her, but she put her all into it, and when we put our just to kind of and. For the people who are watching who didn't get to get a chance to watch the hangout that you're talking about, which was 2 weeks ago, that we were talking about, Robin and I personally were talking about putting all of us into every moment, like being as you can be in any moment, and that is more of a gift, and will let the universe know that you're ready to step up, because we hold ourselves back so much from our own personal magic, and she just let it shine. And so if you get a chance to go back and watch that, it was really very powerful. And Robin, you've got a little powerful little clip if Mark would let you use that. I mean, that you could use to at least give yourself that understanding that is a powerful tool that you used. Hi, Mark.
Wow, that's
trying to make hand gestures to say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting because talking about rules, I will have okay, there are certain things, and I think, in a way, Mark, you were saying this earlier, that there are certain things that you'll say in a public broadcast and some things that you won't, and I didn't have it in me that we were in a hot seat. It was more like my heart leapt out ahead of me, which was the service that we all are to one another in the mastermind and everything. And it's a mixture of accepting a gift and being present to show up, not knowing what's going to show up, and welcoming it. So I think that's the I've been saying the now is the edge of the unknown, and we don't know what's ahead, and we've not been to this moment before, but are we going to show up in it or not?
Right. I mean, that's it, and you've just been pulling out so much, depth, because you're so wanting to show up in show up in all of your all of your magic, show up with all of that attached and not leave anything behind, and that was just that's really what's going on, and that's so true because anyway, so we're going on. So what that's the emotional. That's the stuff that goes on behind the scenes of empire building. That's it. That's the juice of showing up as full as you can. And Mark, for being able to receive that and being vulnerable enough to share. You weren't even being vulnerable. I think the mastermind just hit you over the head with that one.
I think it was not only impromptu hot seat. It was kind of like fried or grilled Mark.
Yeah. But she came with her fairy dust.
What's that?
What's that?
I'll have to watch the recording of it.
Yeah.
Now Andrea's excited. The fried
Yeah, because you know what? You totally piqued my interest. Absolutely. Hey, I just need to comment, Robin.
Yes.
You look fantastic. And I'm telling you, from our last conscious languaging hangout, you are so light.
Oh, thank you.
Just shed such stuff that you were carrying, because there is a huge transformation physically.
Thank you. Yeah. So after Mark's experience, then I had my own hot seat.
Oh
That
yeah.
Andrea was there for, and Don was there for. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, this is, having having the opportunity to be in a group like this where you can express yourself and get feedback right away, Mark. The right away feedback is so important. And like I said, it comes with fairy dust. In the right environment, it comes with fairy dust. Sometimes it comes with, like, I don't know, coal and dirt, but we have fairy dust. So good. Well,
I
are
want
there?
to mention while there's a momentary lapse that there's a whole construction project going on in my house that just began again. So
Okay.
I'm mostly going to keep my microphone muted unless you like the rhythmic sounds of crowbars and tapping and drilling and stuff, in which case I'll keep the microphone on. It's up to you. Oh, there's the drilling right there. Okay, we'll be muting now.
I
You'll
don't
be
hear
hearing
it.
less of me, but I'll be present.
We don't hear it, but yeah, it's probably a distraction for Mark.
Oh,
We
you
hear.
haven't? Okay, I'll leave it open. And just let me know, and I'll. Oh, just mute me when you hear it. So,
Okay, yeah, we could do that.
okay.
Yeah, I think Andrea had one week where she had that going on too.
Yeah.
So invisible
I
fin.
don't have any rules, I don't think, Dawn.
What's
Like
that?
when you put that question out about rules, like by nature, I'm not a rule follower. Now, maybe there are some that I'm not aware of that I've created. I don't know, but just or maybe that word rule is, I don't know. I don't really feel like I've really had any rules. Now, when you did talk about yourself and you were sharing about you felt like, oh, you would need to have a business degree before. Is that a rule or is that something else?
Oh, that's a good one. That may not have been a rule, but I did have it as a rule because I was waiting. This is where it becomes a rule. I was waiting to start what I wanted to do until I got a degree. That is a rule. And
Yeah.
Okay.
and that was a rule when I had really, like when I was really, really young, just starting out. That was so important. So in a way that yes, it becomes a rule. It could have been a good, like I could have pursued, a degree, an MBA. However, I've gotten a lot more experience by doing doing it, and failing is really the best. The best education is actually trying to do something and then figuring out what doesn't work is really valuable. Truly, one of the most valuable things in the world is falling on your face a couple times, or a couple hundred times, or but being willing to do that. So, for some people have rules that, I mean, this is a great question because some people have rules that say to them. And I'll call them rules, but they could be unconscious needs, right? I need to feel safe, so we create a rule, right? I need to feel wanted, so I create rules around how people treat me, and which is, sometimes it's very good because you don't want to be walked all over, but sometimes these rules, and what I was thinking when I was writing this about the rules, I was thinking about marketing. Like some people have a rule that says, I will never do print advertisement. Okay, like I don't even know where that comes from. I will never pay money for marketing. Okay, because they have a belief that they can actually do it all themselves. That's a real rule that will totally can stop you really quick. Can you follow that? I mean, because some of these things we put the rules on before we ever test it. And sometimes we don't give things enough time or enough energy to actually give it the right, to have enough data. Okay, remember I said you may or may not have been here last week, but I said about the results is like you really have to have enough data in order to, which means you have to have done it enough times to get the feedback out of it. And we tend to stop ourselves because we don't like the pain. Like, okay, I did that once and it was horrible. Okay, instead of doing it again and letting it get better, we stop
Yes.
like at the very beginning. So sometimes we have okay, so here's another rule. Like I have a rule that I will, I don't want to let anybody ever see me stutter. I stuttered when I was a little kid. That rule kept me silent for a long time. Rules like that, and we just don't know what kind of rules we have until we start pursuing ourselves. Like start pursuing what kind of greatness we can bring to the world, or even just a goal. We don't even have to. It doesn't have to be as expansive as discovering who you are. It can be just as simple as finding a single goal. Although I find that there's a huge shift right now that's going on that says that we are wanting to expand, and that expansion is calling us forward so fast that we don't have time to focus on these little goals. We actually are being called to step into the role that we're here to play much bigger every day. So the rules that we have we're bumping up against them all the time. My rule for not allowing anybody to hear me stutter could have stopped me. And if you listen very closely to a lot of the videos that I do, or if you've heard me speak on stage before, you will see that I do stutter, or I have filler words. And if I were to stop myself from speaking and communicating because I needed to fix that first, I would never do it. That's my rule. I'm just telling you, like I had to let go of that rule. And it makes me more vulnerable. People say, oh yeah, she's up there stuttering. She's laughing, she's rolling her eyes. I have a girlfriend who says, Dawn, will you stop rolling your eyes on, when you're speaking? I'm like, I don't roll my eyes. No, I don't ever do that. But if I were to stop, I wouldn't get on. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't share what I had to say, and the people who needed to be helped wouldn't be helped, and we stop ourselves with little rules. So there's other rules that we have that you have. It's just a little one. I mean, there's so many, and the rule that things have to be hard, like we have, and maybe it's not it's a thought, it's a belief. But a rule is something that we say to ourselves. Maybe it starts out with the belief. The belief is that I believe everybody who gives advice should have, a PhD in whatever they're talking about, or they just don't qualify to tell me, give me advice. That would be a rule that I would have. So I would miss out on half of the people in the world who actually have the experience and yet not the education behind it, and I might be somebody who stays in that whole cycle of needing only to work with people who are a certain way, and not allowing myself to ever break out of that well. So do we have? And I kind of threw a lot of different stuff out there, but I'm feeling that there's definitely more that you guys are wanting to. More ways that you're wanting to break your rules, or is there? You know what? We'll put it on other people, because this is how we do it best, right? Are there other people that you see in your, in your world, who have rules or beliefs that that are stopping them from being the most successful person that they could be, or going to the next level in their business, or just just some rule, like could be a cousin Eddie, who's got this rule that says he will only date, 20-year-olds, and though he's 60. That's a rule that could totally make you miserable for the rest of your life if you never grow up, and you're just, you're stuck in a rule that no longer serves you.
I have a main rule myself. That is, coming out of the corporate advertising world, it seemed as though things needed to be done buttoned up. They needed to be right. They needed to be done well, buttoned up. And so the idea, it is a perfectionism I have, and I never achieve it. And so it's like causes me to hold back from putting something out there, because I think it has to be a certain level of good before it can go out. And it goes in contrast to the people who are building the bicycle while riding it. That's that definition of the entrepreneur, and so if these two things kind of collide for me. I'm looking at imperfect actions a lot more, knowing that it's probably a lot closer to good already, even though I'm judging it as not, it doesn't quite maybe meet the rules of how it should be before it gets put out.
Yeah.
Like a talk or something written,
Yeah, and I have some. I'm so blessed to have some really great public speaker friends. And one of a guy that I used to work with a lot, he's a world champion of public speaking, and he's got a quote on my website. I'm not going to say his name out. If you want to see who it is, go to my website and it's like on the front page. But he would always say, you make a speech. The first time you make a speech is like never going to be the best, and you just have to keep doing it. I mean, I think he's given the same speech like 10,000 times. Really ridiculous, but you don't get to have that level of flow. You really don't have. You don't get to have the level of flow until you've done something imperfectly. A lot of times, that imperfect action is sort of like where spirit comes in and says, "Okay, you're not quite ready. I'll come in and partner with you." And then you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've got this hanging out with me. This is so cool." And you can't have that when you think you're the only person who knows what to do. Then Spirit says, "You know what? She's got it going on. I'm not helping her." And you struggle. For me, from my experience, that creates a lot of struggle because you're constantly trying to make it perfect. But to respond to yours really quick, Robin, because as you were talking, I was thinking, you can help other people perfect whatever they're putting out there in the advertising world, while you're making imperfect action, helping them do. So there could be that whole. I mean, I know that you were talking about your desire to add excellence. So you add it where you can and where your skill sets are really about perfecting and creating excellence for somebody. And then while you are still, moving on your journey to get out there, the getting out there doesn't have to be perfect.
That's a cool little combo.
Yeah, just so, but keeping that in mind is kind of, I don't have to be perfect to help somebody else be perfect. It doesn't all have to be perfect.
Yeah.
It
and
really,
I want to add that what you just shared about showing up with what you do have, and then Spirit says, whoosh, like an enzyme, like coming in to help. That is such a gift. Thanks for that.
You're welcome. It's probably just for you. And the one viewer out there, I think Robert's viewing right now. Hi, Robert. Robert McPhee's watching from the outside. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on. So,
word belief.
What's that, Andrea?
That word gets me going. Whereas the word rule, not so much.
Okay.
I wonder what's up with that with me.
Well, you have probably spent a lot of time creating freedom, and in your mind you've probably avoided every opportunity where you've heard the word rule, right?
Yeah.
So having a rule is probably not even in your consciousness. Maybe it's in your subconscious, meaning that your subconscious may just have a lot of rules. And it's just another way for me to express those unconscious beliefs, those remember the invisible fence that keeps us the same?
Yes.
These are the same things. These are the rules that we have. It's the boundaries that we have to keep us. So if you think about rules as sort of like boundaries, like I will never do work outside of the United States. Okay? Why not? I don't know. because the opportunities never come, but the moment the opportunity comes, you're going to get on a plane and go. But so we have a lot of, and this kind of came up because I had this aunt when we were little, and I really enjoyed her because she was somebody that I never felt that judged me at all. But she did have a lot of rules about how people should be other people, not, people that she was around. One of the things, though, that she had a rule for herself was that she would never, ever, ever own a dishwasher. Okay, so this is a rule. This is a great example, too. We'll never own a dishwasher because, because there's also the because that comes after the rule. Because people who have dishwashers are lazy. You think about this. So once you figure out what your rule is, you got to figure out what's going on behind it. Well, why wouldn't I? Okay. The moment they came out with a quiet enough dishwasher that she could own, she bought one of those suckers, and she's a great entertainer. So, and I had a hard time with it because I was really young. At the first, I was like, oh, that girl, she said she would never, and she's doing it. How crazy is that? And now I'm like, yeah, break those rules. Have a rule and break it because she can have more people over, spend less time cleaning up afterwards. It was just, a cool thing to experience. Just from an adult point of view, when I was younger, I wasn't quite as appreciative of that. But yeah, so we have rules because, and then does that make her lazy once she does it? She's going to have to deal with that too because it's a belief that she had. The belief that she had, and she broke her rule. Now she's going to have to, emotionally undo the belief about being lazy. She's going to have to consciously say, you know what, this is not a lazy act. Maybe or maybe not she does it. This is this really frees up my time. This feels like way less lazy than I've ever done because now I can do more. So now I'm more efficient. Now I have way more time to do lots of more things. So definitely not lazy. Anyways, that's just kind of like a weird little thing, but that's a good example of a rule. I will never buy a dishwasher. I will. Rules about what you think about other people too. They can. They're judgments. They're judgments. They keep us.
Okay, so now it's really like, I'm just kind of letting this all settle in, and I like that example. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will never. Well, anyway, so does anyone feel like they might have something, something going on right now, that there's a rule that they have that they're not quite expressing fully, or that that may be holding them back? The question, do you want to be in the hot seat? Anyone want to be in the hot seat this week about this or anything else that's popping up? And if you're watching from the outside, pop in. We'll link it on the event page. Anyone? Anyone?
I would do the hot seat. Yeah, I'll be in the hot seat.
Okay.
Because it's a little bit cold here in Toronto today.
Okay.
I definitely need that hot seat.
We'll keep the fires burning here. We'll light a candle for you.
So for me, it's about gaining the clarity of, because Dawn, I've shared with you, and I've shared here in our mastermind about not really sure who it is I choose and want to serve. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know that I've become clear on the fact that I really would like to do VIP days with people, and I'm getting visions of myself being with almost like a little ensemble, kind of joining others. Not really, that the full clarity is not there in what that means, but now, so these VIP days that I'd like to offer, but who do I want to offer them to, and really who is the market that I am meant to serve? Before things showed up for me, and it was like, okay, so this clearly looks like this is who I'm supposed to serve, but that's how much hasn't been happening, and I don't know if it's not happening because I've been a bit foggy with it or not.
Okay. I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to let our other participants give you some feedback or thoughts first. Just Mark?
What do you want to do with them? What's the thing that you most want to, what is the result that you love most seeing occur with them?
Well, for me, it's about seeing the movement that that individual or those group of people that I've worked with are making, and watching the individuals be able to kind of break free and shed the stuff. That's always really thrilled me. Also, for me, it's about I've found a lot of joy for myself, and I've seen the joy in others. And we get into those kind of conversations, I guess maybe more spiritual conversations about, Source, God, it's everywhere, He's everywhere, it's everywhere. So I don't know, Robin. Can you ask me something else? Because I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I answered your question. Did I?
Well, maybe it's tell us a story of your favorite situation where you felt that the thing that happened was just spot on for you, what you love the most to do with people.
Yeah.
Just one little one. Short.
I just love to connect on a heart level, on a spiritual level, to connect with others. And I guess just to make it almost like metaphorically here, it's like I've got that magic wand in my hand, and I can wave it, and it brings that freedom. Dawn, when you were saying how I'm that person about the freedom, and maybe that's why that word rule doesn't really kind of gel with me. And I just want people to know that they can be free. And that freedom, is lots of different things, I guess. For, each person brings their own restrictiveness that they've been, restricting themselves with. So, am I answering? I don't know why I'm feeling like I'm not really answering the question.
I'm gonna. Oh, go ahead, Robin.
Like, what would be the most, like, the hugest, craziest, freeingest expression of you that you could possibly imagine? No rules. With the drill, Mark?
Sorry.
Not him.
Yeah, mute me.
It's not you.
Oh.
I tried muting you. It didn't stop it. Andrea, are you still there?
I think it might be Andrea's sound.
She might have just unmuted. She just might have. Andrea? She might have just lost it because I have a great answer for her. I want her on here, though. What is she saying? Andrea, you have to get on here because you have a rule that's stopping you from even answering these questions, and we have to figure out what this rule is. Are you there?
Come back. Drop off. Come back.
Okay, well, I'm just going to keep... She can rewatch this later. Andrea. All right, anyways. And I want... Andrea, you're going to have to rewatch this because I'm not sure what your rule is that you have about, that's preventing you from answering this question. So when we cannot answer a question, we have some confusion going on, and it's usually caused by some limiting belief. It's caused by when we can't answer a question. I mean, just think about that. I mean, if you have got some reason, like you're feeling constricted about answering a question, or if it feels like you're trying to get yourself into a box, the point is that you have a rule about being painted in a box, so you don't want to answer the question, or you have a rule that says, and I hope she gets on here. This is what was coming to me as she was answering the question is that she says um, that she has this growing clarity of who she wants to serve. And there you are. Can you hear me, Andrea? I hope you can hear me, because this is all for you. Shake your head if you can hear me. We cannot hear you.
I think she can hear.
Okay. All right. So there's a rule that you have. I'm assuming that there's a rule or a belief, a limiting belief of some sort, that is preventing you from answering this question. It's pretty simple. And, we can explore what these are, but I have just kind of a few little, ideas going in through my mind. You can either put them on the chat if you say, yes, that's the one I have, or no. And one of the rules that we make is that you have to pick one. Is that a rule? Do you have that you have to pick one? Yes. Well, what if you picked 10? And you just tried them all out? What if you picked 10 and you just did tiny little bits of, 10 markets, one solution? Okay? This is, the offer is the solution that you have. Got it? Your offer is the solution that you have. I mean, this is really what you are here to bring into the world. Bring that, your desire to have a VIP day. The desire to have a VIP day means, by the fact that you have the desire, it means that you have it in you, and that there are also people that want that from you. It is a law. The desire wouldn't be in you if there weren't people that were equally matched in whatever form that you decide that you want to serve. And it doesn't matter what it is. I mean, there's people teaching, yoga classes, on water, for crying out loud. Who would have thought? There was a desire to do yoga on a paddleboard. That seems crazy if you ask me. Yeah, and so the fact that there's a rule, and there's a lot of people out there that are proliferating this idea that you have to pick one. It does make it so much easier. But when you think that you have to have a rule before you've tested the waters, and especially when you're just beginning or restarting or recreating yourself, giving yourself permission to be very present and serve many different groups of people is very freeing, could be very freeing. So, I'm hoping that this is coming in. So that could be a rule that you have, is that you have to pick one. Another rule that you may have is that the one that you really, or there may be a belief that says that there is something in you that you really want to serve a group, a very specific group, and it's in your heart to serve them. But you may have a belief, and it may be about your own personal value. I'm not saying that this is true for you, that says that that group of people doesn't want to work with you. Oh, that would be horrible to think that. And so you would never be able to answer this question, who do you want to work with, because the people that you really want to work with, you're so afraid to speak that out loud because it seems so ridiculous. Right? So I hope, Andrew, you're getting this. Because, yeah. We certainly can't hear you for a lick, but I'm so glad that I can see your head shaking. I can't hear a word you're saying. But yeah, so if any of this is connecting, if you're feeling that any of these rules or beliefs are true, then you may just want to look at them. And sometimes looking at them means feeling those feelings that you have as you walk through that belief and walk through the opposite side of that belief. Like walking through, sharing yourself with different groups of people and letting that be okay until you find the one that is the really perfect fit. And we tend to listen to the experts who've been there and done that and say that this is like the, in the end, I wish I would have just picked one to, like from the beginning. Well, maybe they had to have, gone through 20 before they could figure out which one that they wanted to pick. I'm drooling. I'm so crazy about this. Anyways, all right, unmute yourself. I want to hear from the peanut gallery. I should never call you the peanut gallery. I want to give you more honor and more. I want to hear from my,
Almond Butter Gallery.
Mastermind.
Mastermind.
The gallery of masters. So,
I wish we could have heard Andrea.
I wish we could have heard her too.
I got to see Andrea's laundry basket. That was exciting.
Yay!
But she was like focusing on that because it was a metaphor to clearing it, whatever.
Clearing the dirty laundry.
All right, Andrea, we see you now.
Yes.
Can you speak? Oh, she's waving at us.
I think your
Microphone maybe.
your microphone might be turned off because I have one of those things. If I push it, it gets turned off. I could be wrong.
Can't hear it.
Not hearing anything. Or maybe it's not plugged in all the way. I don't know.
Yeah, I've done that one too.
I don't know. Anyways.
Have to go to part 2 next week.
Yeah, part 2. Andrea, we can. I would love to talk to you a little bit more. Because we can chat about this a little bit because I think you're so. The moment you pick the group, the moment you pick somebody, the moment you have a desire. Here's the thing about desire. This is the law of desire. We talked about this before. Your desire, your interest in something is there to lead you in the direction that is your most natural and effortless path. But we have these beliefs and these all kinds of crazy stuff that gets in the way, and it says, no, that is not for me. How could I possibly do that? How could I possibly?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I went out and came back in.
Okay.
Oh, I love what you're saying because you're right.
Okay.
You're right. I've been speaking to too many experts over the years and feeling not, raise a cup of coffee, and not feeling confident owning the greatness. Bottom line.
Yeah.
And I got all caught up in that. And last week when you posted that thing about the craziness of the marketing business, yeah. So now I'm going to sit back and I'm going to listen to you guys because I very much appreciate your words of wisdom.
So, Mark, do you have any final thoughts for Andrea? I'm going to have you give some thoughts. Your wisdom is very deep.
Live long and prosper greatly.
No.
Without the numbers. And have more fun. They await you.
Mark, you're so funny. I'm putting my headphones in because I can hear you guys better, but let me know if it goes crazy for you guys, okay?
Okay.
Because I don't know if... I'm on a tablet and I don't know. I apologize. Oh, they get all confuddled here. I'm confuddled. Put it in. Because I don't know what's not good.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice, Mark.
I try to smooth things out.
I think it's better now. Andrea, can you talk?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can't hear you at all. I mean, we can hear muffling, but we can't hear you. But you can keep the headphones on while we talk, and then you can pull them out while you talk, if that's okay. That might work. As Mark was joking about having more fun, I'm like, wait a minute. He's right. He's really right. You got to have more fun. Find where, and start first where you feel that there would be the most fun. What would be the most fun? I think that's a great a great insight from Mark, who probably thought he was, was being very profound. But listen to that advice. I can feel the truth in that. Like, really go and do what's the most fun for you. Life. I know your story, Andrea, and I know that life hasn't always been so fun for you. So find something that's really fun for you to do right now, and serve in a way that is uplifts you while you're serving.
I love that. Now, could you hear me say that?
What's that? Yeah, I heard you say that. And Robin has to get off of here. Bye, Robin. Thank you so much again.
Oh,
Thank you, Robin.
Bye. I love you all.
Thank you, Robin.
Bye.
All right, and I'm going to stop the broadcast here.
Oh, good.
We are, because I'd like to stop it right at the hour, unless we're, yeah.